This ugly girl was working as a waitress in a beer shop. The customer found her too ugly, so he said disparaging words and also compared her to another beautiful waitress at the shop. Hee-jin, even though in her heart feeling very sorry for herself, but still trying to smile at the customers. After work, Hee-jin immediately ran to her best friend's birthday party. Even though she was ugly, her best friend was a beautiful hot girl. Although their beauty is different, their friendship is still very good. During the party, her best friend unfortunately slipped and fell into the swimming pool. The young men nearby, not afraid of the cold water, immediately jumped into the pool and tried to swim as quickly as possible to save this beautiful girl. At the same time, everyone was in chaos and accidentally knocked Hee-jin into the water. Even though she struggled and sank deeper and deeper, no one still paid attention. Fortunately, the swimming pool was not deep, so Hee-jin, she could get out on her own. Looking at her beautiful best friend Hari being helped to shore by everyone, Hee-jin also felt secure and went to shore on her own. She was so used to everyone seeing her as invisible, but after all she was a girl, so she still felt sad. Hee-jin quietly left the party. She absent-mindedly walked home. She was sad but couldn't cry. She also had no beauty, so it was very difficult in work and life. But no one knows her past is that she was an extremely beautiful girl and loved by many people. She was also the first love of many boys' dreams. Back when was in middle school, Hee-jin is the most beautiful girl in school. But that doesn't make her arrogant. That day a new boy transferred to her class, but because of his chubby body, he became the object of laughter from the whole class. But only Hee-jin felt dissatisfied for him. When he left, he was also bullied by friends. It was she who stepped forward to chase those bad friends away and comfort Sung-jun. That poor boy had an obsession with the rain because his mother died when it rained. So as soon as he saw the rain, he panicked and kept calling for his mother. Hee-jin was not only not afraid, but also approached Han Sung-jun to ask. She used her shirt to cover him from the rain. She also put headphones in his ears. The boy gradually calmed down and looked at this kind friend. She said she would definitely protect him. Just like that, the two quickly became close. But then, they still had to separate because of Sung-jun had to follow his father to live abroad. Before leaving, he mustered up the courage to give Hee-jin a kiss and promised to meet again. And that promise was about to be fulfilled 20 years later. That day, Hee-jin had just experienced a bad day at the company. In the morning, it was already late for the interview. When entering the elevator, there was an awkward situation. Obviously, she ran in first, but then another beautiful girl came in later, causing the elevator to report it an overload. But the girl pretended to ignore it. No one said anything. This girl forced Hee-jin to get out of the elevator herself. But suddenly the beautiful girl was pushed out by an anonymous person. Then he called Hee-jin in, thanks to which she was able to make it in time for the interview. The interviewer asked her a lot about her experience, but why she couldn't work anywhere for more than 3 months. Hee-jin didn't hesitate to answer right away because her boss was arrested by the police or the company suddenly went bankrupt. Her honest answer made other candidates laugh. The interviewer was also helpless. There is no result of the email report yet, but Hee-jin also knows the result in advance. But that night, she was still waiting for a response email. She received the email as if the sender was Sung-jun, her fat friend from the past. This unexpected response made Hee-jin happy all night. The next night, she running excitedly to the meeting place. She saw a fat guy sitting on a chair eating. Hee-jin happily ran up and slapped the fat guy on the shoulder to call her friend name. Then she held his hand and said he didn't change anything. But the fat guy looked at her skeptically. He asked who she was and if they knew each other. At this point, Hee-jin knew she had mistaken the person. Her phone rang. It was Sung-jun called. At the same time, a handsome guy appeared in front of her who was also answering the phone. What shocked Hee-jin was that every sentence he said matched the voice inside her phone. The fat friend Sung-jun, you know, is this? This spectacular transformation made she extremely shocked. Her whole body seemed frozen in place. That handsome guy was waving at her. Didn't he recognize her? But unexpectedly, he passed by her. He came to greet the beautiful girl behind her. He didn't recognize her because Hee-jin used to be a beauty that thousands of people loved. How could she be this ugly duckling with curly hair that made her withdraw into herself and not have the courage to call Sung-jun? Hee-jin hid in a corner and watched Sung-jun bewildered when he recognized the wrong person. Hee-jin returned absent-mindedly when she happened to meet her best friend Hari. Looking at best friend seemed unhappy. Hari had lived with her for many years, also understood the problem. Hee-jin said she was no longer worthy of Sung-jun. In his memory, she was always a beautiful student, so if she appeared now in this ugly form, he would be very disappointed. How did Hari advise Hee-jin to still shrink herself? No matter what Hari advised, Hee-jin still had withdraw into herself and self-deprecation. But she couldn't bear to let Sung-jun wait for her for a long time, so she came up with a bold idea to ask the rich and beautiful Hari to pretend to be Hye-jin to meet Sung-joon. Hari didn't think much. She confidently walking in front of Sung-joon to greet him, looking at the beautiful girl. Sung-joon smiled and called Hye-jin's name and then intimately hugged her. At this moment, Hye-jin could really only stand from afar and look at them with a feeling of unease. With sad eyes, she followed the two of them to the restaurant. Sung-joon's lovesick eyes were glued to Hari because he thought she was Hye-jin. That made her shy. He started asking about Hari's current work, but these questions were all predicted by Hye-jin, so she taught Hari how to answer. So Hari only had to repeat the things she knew by heart. But there were also questions that were not as planned. Hari didn't know how to answer. Hye-jin behind her was extremely worried. She continuously used her body language to teach Hari how to answer, but her friend didn't understand, so Hari didn't understand. The answer was faltering and a bit confused, but Sung-joon still didn't realize anything was wrong. Thanks to Hye-jin's constant support, Hari answered all the childhood stories correctly that only Hye-jin and Sung-joon knew. He sincerely thanked Hye-jin for bringing light to his dark life. He thanked her for not abandoning him, and she helped him regain hope in life. He said this to Hari, but made Hye-jin behind him extremely touched. This was also considered a great comfort to her. At the end of the meal, Hari did as Hye-jin said. She said tomorrow she had to go abroad to study, and she wouldn't be able to see Sung-joon anymore. He was disappointed when he heard that. His first love had only met for a few hours and had to be separated, making Sung-joon unable to accept it. Hari finished her task. She was about to run away when he called her back. He wanted her to wait for him for 5 minutes. He ran to the store to buy something. He carefully wrapped it in a gift box and gave it to Hari. Sung-joon wiped his hands clean and wanted to shake hands with his first love for the last time. He suddenly hugged her tightly, not willing to let go, while Hye-jin looked at the two of them sadly in the corner. Returning to house, Hari opened the gift box that Sung-joon gave her. It was an umbrella. Hye-jin was not surprised. She knew the meaning of the umbrella, so she told Hari that when she was little, she used her raincoat to cover him from the rain, and she promised to become that umbrella to protect Sung-joon. Maybe now, Sung-joon wants to become that person to protect her, but she could no longer receive this happiness. Hye-jin returned to the computer and hesitated for a long time, but then she still chose to delete Sung-joon's email, also erasing him from her today's short memory. The next morning, Hye-jin woke up and turned on the phone to discover that she had passed the interview. Now she was no longer a useless person. She brought that pride to the company and prepared to devote her all. But when she first arrived at the company, she was extremely surprised because she discovered that the deputy editor she would be working with for a long time was Sung-joon. Once fate was connected, it was impossible to escape. Hye-jin was so shocked that she covered her mouth and tried to hide outside to avoid Sung-joon's eyes. Then she sneaked back like a thief and turned to look at him through the glass door. Even though he didn't recognize her, seeing him still made her startled. She turned around and ran away. Finally, she ran into the elevator and almost had a heart attack because the person inside was Sung-joon. Because she was so panicked earlier, she looked at the wrong person. At this time, the elevator suddenly turned off the lights for a moment and then stood still, causing Hye-jin to tremble in fear and knock on the door in panic. Sung-joon was upset and pulled her back, took her name tag, and read the name. Hye-jin out loud. She thought he was recognized her, but he just wanted her to calm down, and he only thought he had the same name, facing her first love from the past. Hye-jin tensed her lips tightly. She ducked into a corner, as if stuck to the wall. Sung-joon didn't understand anything. He thought his employee had mental problems. Hye-jin tried to make him not pay attention to her. She even held her breath, but the more she did that, the more scared Sung-joon became, holding her breath for so long that Hye-jin almost fainted. She sat down on the ground panting, causing Sung-joon to misunderstand that she had symptoms of fear of the dark. So he did what Hye-jin did when she was young, that was gave her headphones to listen, hoping to help her calm her mood. A feeling of excitement arose in Hye-jin's heart. She really wanted to tell Sung-joon that the person who played this song to comfort him was her. The first love he wished for was the person in front of him, but then she didn't dare. The music stopped and the elevator opened. Sung-joon just walked out without hesitation, and Hye-jin still couldn't calm down. The first job at a fashion magazine of Hye-jin started. She and Sung-joon had to work together, but when we're working, she couldn't evade. Hye-jin enthusiastically wiped the model's sweat without paying attention to her shoe prints, dirtying the shooting floor. It wasn't until Sung-joon loudly reprimanded that Hye-jin realized and kept apologizing. Sung-joon looked at her disparagingly. He did not hesitate to make bad comments about her unprofessional work style, which made her angry. Hye-jin could only bow her head and stay silent. At that moment, Hye-jin just wanted to run away. Fortunately, the editor-in-chief came, and everyone turned their eyes to this woman, thinking Hye-jin's misfortune today was over. But the editor-in-chief saw her cleaning and called Hye-jin over. The editor-in-chief criticized her curly hair like a feather duster with no aesthetic appeal. Hae-jin patiently explained that her hair was naturally curly, not intentionally got a perm. Sung-joon heard that and started paying attention to the conversation because his first love's hair was also curly. He accidentally discovered that secret on that rainy day. Hae-jin said she only needed to get wet, her hair will be curly again. So she also hates the rain like Sung-joon. Back to the present. Even though Hae-jin told this woman about her situation, the editor-in-chief continued to criticize. This woman also said Hae-jin's outfit is so outdated that she can only bow her head in silence. She works at a fashion magazine but has no beauty, so Hae-jin can only do heavy work. At the end of a day of work that was subjected to many insults in the car, Hae-jin lamented to Hari about her day. Just thinking about it made it hard to breathe. Just as she raised her face to get some air, Sung-joon's car passed by. However, someone intervened. Sung-joon returned to the big but empty house because he missed Hae-jin. He sent her a letter causing Hae-jin to be scared and ask Hari for help. Hari immediately sent to Sung-joon a photo she had taken in Europe. She said she had fun going out. Reading this message, he also smiled happily. Towards his first love, he was gentle and warm, but when he returned to the company as a deputy editor, he was extremely difficult. He urged his subordinates to quickly come up with decoration ideas for the company's 20th anniversary. He also used a mini hourglass to limit each person's reply time. No matter what everyone say, he are not satisfied. No employee's ideas could convince him. Each word that was continuously released put great pressure on the employees. Sung-joon just stomped his foot but made they were so startled, especially Hae-jin, that she didn't even know when he called her to speak. When she spoke, she faltered and wasted time. So he kicked her out. His scoldings made her sad the whole time. She kept looking at him wondering if she was ugly, so he didn't care about her. During the meeting, the employees' passionate magazines were torn apart by Sung-joon, making them very dissatisfied. A person who came back from the US and didn't understand Korean style, so he judged them. But when he got off work, he proactively put his card in front of the staff. He told them to go ahead and play as much as they wanted, and he paid them all. Of course, they're adorable. Actually, it's not that Sung-joon is arrogant and disdainful of the staff, but because the Most magazine in Korea is about to be closed, following the instructions of the Most headquarters in the US. That's why he came here to save this branch. This branch only needs to rise to the top position within a month for the headquarters to revoke its decision. So he has to put pressure on it to promote its potential editors. One fine day, Hae-jin was still doing chores for the company as usual. She accidentally bumped into the evil boss, fell into Sung-joon's arms, making her heart beat faster. She stammered to thank him, but seeing that she hadn't stood up yet, he let go of his hand, causing her to fall to the ground. He also said that she had problems with her mind and eyes. Then he left, entered the elevator. Hae-jin decided not to endure anymore. She got this position because she passed the interview with her own ability. Everyone will make mistakes in their work, but why does he despise her so much? Sung-joon still maintains his arrogant attitude, criticized Hae-jin for being an amateur, stammering in her speech. Her ability and experience, and also working style were not worthy of the name Hae-jin. It turned out that he paid attention to her because she had the same name as her noble first love of him. This made Hae-jin extremely angry. He did not recognize her and even dared to despise her. In that case, she would not leave that company. She had to be by his side every day to make him crazy. The next day, Hae-jin went to the company without any fear and dared to criticize her boss with colleagues. She says he's not handsome, his personality is weird, his face is always in a frown, so it's not true that he doesn't have friends, like scratching the itch. Hae-jin continued to speak ill. She didn't realize Sung-joon was standing behind her. When she turned around and saw his face, she screamed loudly. The colleagues who were chatting with her just turned a blind eye and avoided him. They left Hae-jin alone with the devil. Sung-joon didn't care. He pulled the documents from under her butt and blew the dust, and then he left. Today he was discussing business with his partner at a high-end hotel when he accidentally discovered that Hari also worked there. He pulled her hand and asked why she hadn't already studied abroad. Hari quickly hugged Sung-joon so she could throw her name tag away, but her colleague picked it up. This guy called her was the director, so she couldn't lie to Sung-joon anymore. Hari said it was true that she had traveled to Europe, but suddenly she got a good job at this hotel, so she stayed in Korea to do it without having time to tell Sung-joon. Fortunately, he is no doubt happy because he is about to see Hae-jin regularly. This scared Hari. As soon as he left, she called Hae-jin for help, but the person who picked up the phone was her colleague Shin-hye. When got home, Hari couldn't wait to tell Cho Hae-jin that her lie about studying abroad had been exposed, but Hae-jin also swore that from now on she would cut ties with the evil Sung-joon, and she also banned Hari. Don't mention his name in front of her anymore, making Hari not dare to tell her about the incident at the hotel. Hari was afraid that Hae-jin would get angry, so she decided to solve this problem alone. The next Morning Sung-jun started the day. He was so immersed in work, so much so that he mistook the water in the vase for coffee. When he went to stop at the red light, he accidentally heard someone say green light and let's go, which startled him, because that was a familiar saying of Hye-jin when he was young. It was true that it was Hye-jin because she is now were also passing through this road, but the two of them did not recognize each other. Sung-jun thought it was Hari who was also here, so he called to ask her, but it was not. When he got to the company, he continued to urge his subordinates to meet to discuss the new idea, but no matter what they said, he wouldn't approve, until the team leader told Hye-jin to turn on the projector to prepare for the presentation. But because she was too nervous, she held the LED light and pointed it directly at Sung-jun's face. She held the other one and turned on the bright headlights that shone on his face again, which made other colleagues unable to stop laughing. But luckily, she was still able to turn on the projector. At the end of the meeting, Shin-hyuk realized that Hye-jin was very afraid of the deputy editor, so he stayed and teased her, making her run away even more frantically, which made him feel that she was really cute. When Sung-jun asked to bring today's meeting report to him, Hye-jin panicked and asked for help from other colleagues. She asked them to explain to her some specialized terms, but everyone was busy, so she had to bring a report with many errors, causing Sung-jun to scold her. He criticized her for her poor understanding. She must have gone through the back door to get this job. This statement hurt Hye-jin deeply. She explained that she passed the position of the branch aid management, but was sent by the team leader to the magazine room to work. She is trying very hard to learn fashion terminology and not go through the back door. Sung-jun didn't care. He just wanted to work with professionals. So if Hye-jin continued like that, he would fire her. He threw her report straight on the ground and chase her out. He even muttered, "Who let this kind of person in here?" Hye-jin felt sorry for herself and had to go to the warehouse to sort the goods with Mina, but she didn't know the name of the cosmetics. She even encountered Sung-jun to check the outfit, then returned to the offices. She was tricked by Shin-hyuk into hitting her head on a noodle package. Everyone here bullied her. Hye-jin returned to the aid management room and wanted to stay here. At least here, she could clean the house and pour tea, do anything as long as she doesn't be despised. But in the end, the manager still sent her to the fashion team to work. Not long after returned, Hye-jin was dragged away. Later, just saw her hugging a pile of things and continuing to do errands, spinning like a pinwheel all day long until late at night when she got off work. She was nodding off on the bus because she was so tired, but seeing old people, she still volunteered to let her place for that old woman. Hye-jin went home and complained to her best friend, thought she would be comforted, but she was told by Hari until she woke up. Specialized terminology, so each industry was different. She couldn't confuse it with normal life. So Hari told her to work in the fashion world to learn by herself first. It was normal for her superiors to scold her subordinates. She always said she was trying or just trying to please Sung-jun. From the day she arrived, has she actively read any magazines in the fashion team, or are you just asking others what this is and what that is? She doesn't proactively develop yourself, but always blame others for making things difficult for her and didn't help her. These words made Hye-jin lie awake all night. Then she realized she was wrong. That night, she took the initiative to go to Hari's fashion bookshelf. She looked for a magazine with notes. Unexpectedly, Hari knew that Hye-jin would find this place and read it, so she took a note to cheer her friend up. Hari promised to help Hye-jin develop herself, and so Hye-jin began her journey of learning about fashion. On her way to work research, go home at night and learn more about Hari's outfit, coordination knowledge. She learned about cosmetics and also practiced looking at clothes to guess brand names and combinations of passersby, thanks to which she learned fashion knowledge. Hye-jin's performance was significantly improved. She was also more confident in her work and was praised by the fastidious editor-in-chief. She was able to hear and understand the difficult terms in the meeting. The report she submitted, Sung-jun is also much more perfect. It's just that Hye-jin is still clumsy with her hands and feet. Shin-hyuk keeps insisting after work that she invites him to eat spicy rice cakes. Hye-jin doesn't understand how close she has been to this person since he keeps clinging to her, but in the end, she still had no choice. When eating, Shin-hyuk deliberately panicked and spilled sauce on him and Hye-jin. He wanted to show her that she's not the only one who is clumsy, so don't be too sad, because she was busy wiping the sauce off her shirt. Hye-jin didn't realize her phone was ringing. It turns out Ari had to go home to celebrate her father's birthday. It's home, but it's the coldest place for her because her mother had passed away and her father had remarriage. The relationship between stepmother and husband-child did not harmony. Her stepmother spoke ill of Hari's biological mother, making her unable to help, scolding her stepmother for being a person without personality. But what made Hari sad was that her father didn't listen to her explanation and slapped her and forced her to apologize apologize to her stepmother. She was disappointed and said sorry and then left. She went out and called Hae-jin, hoping for her best friend would come to listen to her confession, but never received a response. Tonight, Hari also has a date with Sung-joon to end things with him, but now she is very chaotic and lonely, so she goes drinking alone. Sung-joon had arrived at the meeting place a long time ago. He called Hari and found out she was at the bar, so he rushed there. Seeing her being bothered by a man, he rushed to stop. The man scolded Hari for being flirtatious, causing her to angrily smash a pineapple on this man's head. At the end of the fight, the man's head was injured. Hari's hand was scratched. Sung-joon's forehead was also slightly injured because he was hit by the other man's ashtray earlier. She felt extremely sorry that he was injured because of her, but he was more worried about her. Hae-jin received the text message and rushed to the bar, which was also the time when Sung-joon took Hari to the hospital to get bandaged. He even thoughtfully went to the convenience store to buy cotton swabs and then took Hari to eat their old familiar dish. Although she had no memories, this dish was really delicious. She heard Sung-joon talk about the bad past of him and the joy of Hae-jin's appearance. That made Hari unwilling to cut off their relationship. Today, because of her, he was injured, so for the time being, she did not say anything about the breakup. Also from tonight, Hari began to vibrate a little with Sung-joon's kindness to her. Early the next morning, Sung-joon went to his usual shop to buy coffee. This time, the waiter was careful to take back the vase of flowers before he drank. Sung-joon was about to leave when he accidentally discovered Hae-jin's diary. That was because Hae-jin's younger sister accidentally left it at the shop, but coincidentally at this time, Hae-jin also came here to meet her younger sister. Her little sister had the same beauty as her when she was young, making Sung-joon feel dumbfounded, like meeting his first love again, and that notebook was also her younger sister notebook. Hae-rin stood in front of him, demanding the notebook back, and he raised his hand to get to know her younger sister. Hae-rin said she was Hae-jin's younger sister. This scene scared. Hae-jin was scared and turned around to run away. Going out, she took the risk to call Sung-joon and say that the editor-in-chief was urgently looking for him to return to the company. That's how she made him leave. In fact, it wasn't Sung-joon who was upset with Hae-jin because she was ugly, but to everyone he frowns like that. Magazines that the editors and even the team leader personally created, even if they made a small mistake or weren't groundbreaking enough, would be trashed by Sung-joon. He was only gentle with the person he considered his first love. On the way to work, he saw a beautiful sky, so he stopped to take a photo and sent it to Hari. By the way, asking about her wound, this makes the heart of a lonely girl like Hari comforted. At the same time at the company, Hae-jin also wanted to take pictures of the sky, but was stopped by Shin-hyuk. He wanted to get closer to her. From the moment on the bus he saw her yielding place for the elderly, he ignored her appearance and looked at Hae-jin's inner beauty and liked her. That night, when went home, Hae-jin was still haunted by the editor-in-chief's words that she had to change her appearance, so she planned to prepare a little. The result of going to the company the next day made Sung-joon extremely surprised. Today, the fashion team was assigned by Sung-joon to be the driver taking him to the airport to pick up a partner. No one wants to be close to a difficult boss, but suddenly Hae-jin volunteered to take the job. Actually, she was being played with by Shin-hyuk. He said there was a hole in her armpit, so she raised her hand to look. At exactly 4 p.m., Sung-joon got into the car and the car departed. He raised his head to look in the rearview mirror and was startled. He asked, "Do you have a driver's license?" Hae-jin confidently answered that she got 100 points in theory, but in the practical part she almost failed but still passed. Even though she hated this boss, she still tried to find a funny topic to talk about, but he ignored her, making her very angry. Hae-jin drove, but Sung-joon didn't tell her which airport it was, so she drove to the farthest place. By the time he found out, they were already on the highway one way. If they want to turn around, you have to quickly get to the toll booth, but the road ahead is jammed with traffic. It's very difficult to invite a famous artist. If they miss it this time, they won't have a second chance. Knowing that it was her fault, Hae-jin quickly got out of the car. She ran to the street vendor. She asked him to be the driver to take Sung-joon to the airport to pick up the person first. Before Sung-joon could think, Hae-jin grabbed hat in his head. Then he was taken away by that person. The skilled salesman maneuvered through a long line of stuck cars and successfully got Sung-joon out of the traffic jam. By the time Hae-jin got to the airport, everything had been arranged okay. She also felt more reassured. But Sung-joon was still angry and scolded her for being negligent. Hae-jin froze. It was clear that earlier she tried very hard to ask Sung-joon where he was going, but he ignored her. So Hae-jin blocked Sung-joon's car door and shouted shouted at him. She hated the kind of person who just felt that others were a little inferior to her and started to despise them like him. After saying that, she closed the car door and carried 2 big bags of rice cakes and went home on her own. Her first love was not such a selfish person. At night, Hee-jin asked Hari to go drinking to relieve her sadness. Not only was she sad, but Hari was equally sad. Today her father came to find her to apologize for the slap the other day. But after that, he expected Hari to open up to her stepmother because she was a sensitive woman. She said that father's second wife is so sensitive. What about me? Then told him to go home and eat with his family. It would be warmer than eating with a spoiled child like her. Back at the fashion company, it was raining heavily, just like Hee-jin and Hari's bad mood today. She accidentally took the umbrella Sung-joon had given to Hari in front of him, which surprised him, but he just thought it was a coincidence. Hee-jin also noticed something unusual and hurried away. Aha went to the pub first to wait for her best friend. Hari still hadn't received the text message, but was soaking in the swimming pool to escape reality. But the mood was still so bad that it couldn't be helped. So much so that when she met Sung-joon at the gym, Hari didn't even care, but he was different. He realized that she was sad, so he abandoned the gym and drove with her to call her inside. Sung-joon took Hari to the park to play badminton to relieve her bad mood. This was very effective and made her feel a lot more comfortable. He kept paying attention to her like that, causing her to gradually bond with him. Hari opened up for the first time to talk about missing her mother, and Sung-joon had the same pain, but he was able to overcome it thanks to the companionship of Hee-jin from the past. This made Hari worried. On the other hand, Hee-jin was drunk. The person sitting at the drinking table with her was Shin-hyuk. Had just finished work. He propped his chin up and looked at her red, drunk face and smiled. Suddenly he wanted to tease her so she could hear and swear for fun. Hee-jin was really drunk. She almost told her secret between me and Sung-joon. Let Shin-hyuk know. Luckily she was too drunk, so she passed out and didn't reveal anything. He had to take her home on the way. Hee-jin was like a cow about to ram into another person. Then she sat down on the ground and emptied all the things in her pocket and took out her phone to call Sung-joon. As soon as he connected the phone, Hee-jin yelled at him and scolded him that he was a bad person. Then she revealed that her identity was Hee-jin, but he remained calm without any surprises. Then he asked her if she was drunk and should she go home quickly. The next morning when woke up, Hee-jin was holding the bed and vomiting violently. She learned from Hari's words last night that Shin-hyuk took her home. She vomited all over him. After hearing that, Hee-jin was very embarrassed. Then she suddenly realized that her beautiful friend was wearing long pants today. So yesterday Sung-joon reminded Hari that it was cold, so don't wear short clothes just because she want to look nice. She didn't listen to her father, but did as Sung-joon said. Hee-jin went to work and was about to cross the street. She looked at her phone and realized she had called Sung-joon. Afraid that she had said something to him as soon as she met Shin-hyuk, she quickly asked, did she say anything to the deputy editor yesterday? Shin-hyuk arrogantly refused to answer. He forced Hee-jin to buy 2 pieces of kimbap as a bribe. Only then did Shin-hyuk reveal to her that yesterday she cursed the deputy editor as a bastard, so he had to grab the phone and turn it off quickly. Hearing that, Hee-jin could breathe a sigh of relief. It's strange that even though Hee-jin scolded him, Sung-joon generously ignored her, completely different from his usual strictness. In fact, he also realized his own mistakes. Yesterday, when was drinking coffee, he heard the waiter lament and knew that once he was concentrated, he wouldn't hear anyone say anything. So running the wrong way was also his fault. But he blamed it all on Hee-jin. Today, the editor-in-chief, in order to celebrate their collaboration with a famous artist thanks to Sung-joon, and held a party requiring all employees to participate. Sung-joon didn't want to drink, but was forced to drink by the editor-in-chief. Between drinking himself and using the dagger with the editor-in-chief, Sung-joon immediately picked up the glass of wine and drank it all in one gulp. His face was very sober and he stood up to leave. But when Hee-jin and Shin-hyuk came out, they saw him fainting on the floor. 2 kind people took Sung-joon back to his hotel. Shin-hyuk was thirsty, so he forced Hee-jin to go to Sung-joon's refrigerator to get water. Only then did she discover that it was full of mineral water. She was worried about Sung-joon because in order to lose weight, he only drank water. While thinking, Hee-jin realized that she left her phone in Sung-joon's room. Inside were all photos of her and Hari together, so she used all her brain power to think of the password to open the door, but all failed. In the end, thanks to her and Sung-joon's old diary, she was able to find the password to open the door. Hee-jin quietly entered the room. Fortunately, he was still sleeping, so she got her phone back. At that time, at the hotel managed by Hari, there was a guest who rented a VIP room. He asked to keep the music player, but did not come to pick it up because he is a VIP guest. So Hari personally brought the player to return it. In the corridor, she met a sloppy-dressed man, so she hurriedly dragged him out. Unexpectedly, it was a VIP guest. Even more surprising, that person was Shin-hyuk, the type tycoon boy who went to work for passion in the legend. It was him. Returning to Haejin, she didn't leave right away because she was busy looking at the puzzle that was missing a piece. It was a beautiful memory that she and Sung-jun had put together when they were children. When Haejin was about to touch it, Sung-jun was already awake and he suddenly appeared behind her. He scared her and startled her, causing her to knock over the puzzle in the glass cage. He was afraid that she would step on broken glass. He pulled her into his arms. He asked her why she appeared in his room. She broke his painting to revenge for what happened the other day at the airport. Haejin said no. Then she tried to bend down to clean up the debris, but Sung-jun wouldn't let her touch it. Even though Haejin explained that she and Shin-hyuk had taken him home, but he didn't believe it because right now there was only her in the room. It was useless to say anything. Haejin had no choice but to leave first. But when she went out, she discovered that she was wearing the wrong shoe of Sung-jun's, so she had no choice but to turn back. But he closed the door. A moment later, a slipper hooked on a tree branch was given back to Haejin. She also returned the shoe to Sung-jun in shame. She also scolded as man, but just drank a glass of wine, was drunk. Suddenly, he opened the door and threatened to make her run away. Today, Haejin's parents were cooking, so Hari came to eat. Her family considered Hari like a daughter. After finishing the meal, Haejin went to her room to search again. While looking at her old belongings, she accidentally discovered a missing puzzle piece in a children's book she wrote herself. Youthful memories returned. Sung-jun himself gave the umbrella-shaped puzzle piece to her. He promised her the day he returned, and he will become an umbrella to protect her. But now, one person didn't dare to say it. One person didn't recognize it. On the way back, Haejin received a phone call from colleague asking her to come to the office to complete the report for this colleague, because this colleague was busy to beauty routine. Haejin also agreed, making Hari just want to beat her. When Haejin finished her work, she was curious, so she went to Sung-jun's office, and she accidentally broke the mannequin's arm. She didn't expect that he would come to work at the company so late, scaring Haejin into hiding in the closet. As a result, she learned that the Most Korean magazine was about to be discontinued if it was not highly effective. Now she understands why Sung-jun always puts pressure on everyone. She's so careful, but in the end he still finds out. She promises not to talk about it, so he just let her go. Looking at the stupid girl, he was not afraid of her, revealing the secret, and Haejin didn't realize she had dropped the puzzle piece in front of his room door. It seemed like Sung-jun didn't know. He went to the gym and met Hari, who had just finished training, but she suddenly wanted to spend more time with him, so she lied that she had just come because he didn't ride a car at the end of the training session. Hari took him home before going to his room. Sung-jun discovered that Hari's eyelashes had fallen, so he carefully picked them up for her. He also reminded her to do what they used to do when they were children, which is to make a wish, which made Hari both laugh and worried. Returning home, she suddenly felt sorry for Haejin. Hari took advantage of Haejin's identity to be with her first love. The next day, Haejin and Sung-jun went to work together. It's still a familiar saying, green light already, let's go. But this time he was able to notice her presence. When she arrives at the company, Haejin discovers that she has dropped a puzzle piece near Sung-jun's office, afraid that he would see it, so she had to find it first. She crawled on the floor, make startle her colleagues, but he had already stepped on a puzzle piece to get into his office. Haejin immediately accepted delivery task. Then she pretended to drop the pen to bend down to pick it up, actually trying to take a puzzle piece from the sole of Sung-jun's shoe. But his foot kept moving until he bent down to startle Haejin. He chased her out. He didn't go out until noon. At that time, a puzzle piece also fell out. When he turned around, Shin-hyuk quickly hugged him and took a puzzle piece away. It turned out that earlier Shin-hyuk had heard Haejin describe the piece to the cleaning lady, and the night before he also accidentally heard the identity of Haejin's first love. So he helped her hide Sung-jun, to thanking Haejin for inviting Shin-hyuk to eat barbecue. She even agreed to be sister brother's meat rolling sister. While Hari was at the practice room looking forward to Sung-jun's appearance, she didn't know when she started paying attention to him. But he didn't come, so she could only leave first. She went to the convenience store to buy things and accidentally met Shin-hyuk, obviously a rich guy, but he didn't have enough money to pay for the instant noodles, so Hari had to pay instead as an apology for the day before she considered him homeless. Looking at Shin-hyuk's carefree way of eating, Hari criticized, but then she was the same person who ate noodles like him, and she even commented on how delicious it was. At this time, Haejin called. The two of them agreed to walk home together, thinking the three of them would run into each other. But Shin-hyuk had returned to the hotel before Hae-jin appeared, returned to normal routine, but Hari couldn't adapt anymore. She is being pursued by a man. Before, such a person was her standard, but currently, such a person makes Hari disgusted. She just wants a simple and sincere love to share meals and confide in, not lavish parties like this man said. Just saw Sung-joon's silhouette on the way. Hari got out of the car to chase him, but then she suddenly realized that she was just an imposter. She had no right to love him. She sadly went to Shin-hyuk. She asked him how to forget someone not belong to her. Then she asked him to pretend to be her fiancé and propose to her in front of another man so that this man would forget her. But that night they both waited forever, but Sung-joon still did not come, because on the way he met the car accident. It was still raining, which made him start to fear and remember his mother. He was in a panic and couldn't control the car. Sung-joon just wanted to get out of the car and run as fast as he could, but his limbs were completely helpless and fell on the road. Hae-jin was riding a bus nearby and was extremely worried when she saw this. She disregarded the danger and ran to get a raincoat for Sung-joon. She also continuously encouraged him. He looked at the ugly girl in front of him. Image. Her first love appeared so real. She took him to the bus stop on the side of the road. Sung-joon kept chasing her away, but she had to call a taxi to take him home. Before she could feel free to leave, Hari called Sung-joon, found out that he was unconscious in the taxi. She explained briefly to Shin-hyuk and left immediately. Hari, as she remembered, came and knocked on Sung-joon's door. He opened the door weakly and fell into her arms. Hari was a rich lady who is always served by others, but cooks porridge for the person she loves. She is still very clumsy. Sung-joon was more alert at this time. He approached and asked Hari if she had meet him because had something. Suddenly she didn't want to say goodbye. She used the excuse of returning her shirt. She finished cooking porridge, but Sung-joon fell asleep. At the same time, Hae-jin was also calling Shin-hyuk for help. She asked him to bring the porridge was brought to Sung-joon for her. In exchange, she would accept his 3 requests unconditionally. In exchange for this, the exchange had this advantage, so Shin-hyuk immediately agreed. He brought the porridge to Sung-joon's hotel, but was misunderstood by the security guard. He was an escort boy. When he got to the door, he encountered Hari. She explained that her friend was sick, so she left him behind. Shin-hyuk didn't think much. He went to Sung-joon's room and used the room card from the previous day to open the door and saw a pile of puzzle pieces in the jar. He also understood the problem. Looking at Sung-joon in a coma, Shin-hyuk revealed Hae-jin's true identity. Then he poured a bowl of porridge full of vinegar cooked by Hari and replaced it with the porridge Hae-jin asked him to bring arrived. Shin-hyuk originally intended to go home, but saw Sung-joon's fever was too high, so he had to stay and take care. The next morning, Sung-joon woke up to see a man appearing in the house and was extremely scared. Shin-hyuk said Hae-jin asked him come here and take care of Sung-joon. He didn't break in on his own, and he left in such a hurry that he didn't bring a change of clothes, so he borrowed Sung-joon's underwear temporarily. He'll return it right away. Hearing that Sung-joon got goosebumps, he also gave Shin-hyuk that underwear. After a while, he texted Hari to thank Hari for the bowl of porridge. He misunderstood that it was porridge she cooked for him because was in the rain with Sung-joon, so Hae-jin got sick at work today. Having a cold is not a small thing. Every sneeze she makes scares her coworkers, and Sung-joon looks at him and feels extremely guilty. After all, it is because of him that she has a cold. And yesterday, she sheltered him from the rain, making him feel like he was with his first love again. He rushed to the pharmacy to buy cold medicine and then returned to the company to go to Hae-jin's desk. But as soon as he saw someone passing by, he quickly hid the medicine, then went somewhere else. He insisted on keeping the image of the unapproachable deputy editor-in-chief. By the time he made up his mind to give medicine to Hae-jin, someone had already done it. Shin-hyuk did not hesitate to apply a fever-reducing patch to Hae-jin. He also gave her a cute cat mask. Sung-joon couldn't give Hae-jin medicine, so he got angry and blamed her for not giving him the report. Then he angrily threw away the medicine bag. At noon, Sung-joon asked Hari to eat to thank her bowl of porridge, but it rained again. That's why he discovered that she wasn't afraid of the rain like his first love. On the contrary, she really liked it, because when was young Hari was able to play with her mother in the rain. Hari realized something unusual and quickly explained everyone has changes. Back in the pet office, it was time to get off work. As usual, everyone left all the work for Hae-jin to do, and she was too used to being bullied, so she took on all the work. Because she had a cold and had to take medicine that Shin-hyuk gave her, she couldn't open her eyes, so she fell asleep. Sung-joon witnessed that scene and suddenly ran to help her. He was worried and turned off the call to avoid disturbing Hae-jin's sleep. There was a colleague in the company who hadn't returned yet and was wearing a mask to scare others. Sung-joon was scared and sat on Hae-jin's lap. When he realized it, he awkwardly explained and left. He himself couldn't understand his expression just house now. Not only that, Sung Jun also followed Hee-jin home. He couldn't rest assured when he saw her dozing off. Seeing her take that bus, he also got on the bus next time and sat next to her. He quietly let Hee-jin lean on his shoulder to sleep, but still had dignity, so he used a newspaper to cover his face so she wouldn't recognize him. At waiting for Hee-jin to get out of the car, he secretly looked at her a little. Actually, from the rainy day, with Hee-jin's help, he gradually realized that Hee-jin was very familiar, and he gradually had feelings for her. While with Hari, he felt extremely strange, but she had already fallen in love with him. That night, she heard Hee-jin say that if the Most Korea magazine does not rise to the top position in 2 months, the magazine team will be dissolved. Because of that, Sung Jun also returned to America. Hari felt extremely feeling lost. She went to Shin Hyo to confide in him. He still didn't know that the man she loved was Sung Jun, so he enthusiastically advised her, "Love, it's not her fault, so she just be crazy once to get the love of her life." Thanks to his encouragement, Hari decided that in the remaining 2 months, she had to win love for herself. Staying at house, she accidentally finds a missing puzzle piece on her best friend's desk. Recalls the jigsaw puzzle story Sung Jun once told. Hari seems to have come up with a selfish plan for herself, but Sung Jun's mind begins to in favor of Hee-jin. During the meeting, he suddenly stared at her without realizing it, but here the story suddenly took a turn. Hari shows him the missing puzzle piece. She even identified herself, kept it for decades. Perhaps the fate between the two of them still exists. Looking at the photo, Sung Jun was speechless. His feelings for Hari were difficult to say, but Hari loved him. In the evening, she went on a date with him. She was accidentally discovered by her stepmother that she was using a fake name. In the bathroom, her stepmother threatened her with this matter in order to protect her love. Hari lowered her ego for the first time, begged her stepmother to keep it a secret for her. This made her stepmother even more curious about this, so her stepmother directly greeted Sung Jun. Although she did not introduce her identity, this also made Hari fearful. Hari felt extremely self-pity. She just wanted to have love, but hiding everything was too difficult. That night, she hugged her pillow and went into Hee-jin's room wanting to sleep together. She felt extremely sorry for Hee-jin, but she also longs for happiness for herself. She wanted to have a 2-month love relationship with Sung Jun and then let him return to America. Then she continued to be close friends with Hee-jin, and in Sung Jun's heart right now, he felt as empty as a collage. But he thinking he only had strange feelings for Hee-jin, and Hari was his first love. He threw the onion in the trash. The next day when he went to work, he returned to his cold demeanor towards everyone. Today their magazine has a business trip, but reporter Cha suddenly got busy, so assigned this job to Hee-jin. Han-so thought Jun-woo was a rich young man, so she tried to approach him. Han-so pulled him into her own car first, so Hee-jin had to share the car with Sung Jun. Hee-jin tried to talk to Sung Jun, but his face was very cold. He spoke with an angry voice and told her to be quiet and sit down quiet. This made her shyly shrink back. Finally arriving, the other two people were busy, so only Sung Jun and Hee-jin went on a business trip together, went to the restaurant. Sung Jun ordered 2 of the most expensive meals. Hee-jin tries to warn him that the price of rice is expensive, but he still maintains a contemptuous attitude, said that she kept her mouth shut and only ate because he would pay. But he did not know that his wallet had been left at the company. He leisurely wearing the bikini-shaped apron that the owner gave him, making Hee-jin have to hold back her laughter while eating. It wasn't until he paid that he realized he forgot to bring his wallet. Just now he raised his voice at Hee-jin. Now he had to ask her for money. But Hee-jin was poor. The landlady had swiped her card many times and still short of 40,000 won in meat money. Sung Jun used his high-end silk scarf as collateral, but the owner didn't care if it was in a French or American collection. She only needed 40,000 won in cash. Sung Jun called Han-so, asked her if she was there yet, but she said she was lost. In fact, she wanted to create special moments with Jun-woo. This trip she'd definitely have the rich young man, but she didn't know that this was a fake young master. Hee-jin called Hari, but she didn't pick up. Hee-jin called Shin Hyuk again and reporter Cha answered the phone, but Hee-jin let the boss explain the situation. Unexpectedly, that made reporter Cha misunderstanding that it was a scam and refusing to transfer money. The boss got angry and sharpened her knife. The two people knew they didn't have money to pay, so they worked for her for a day. So from a handsome deputy editor-in-chief, now Sung Jun has to wear purple pants and a neat blue shirt to clean up cow manure. While working, the two of them accidentally bumped into each other and fell into the manure. Sung Jun really wanted to leave, but the lady's bullet-shaped eyes did not allow him to do so. So all day he had to work hard with Hae-jin like real farmers. Finally they finished their work. They lay down on the board to rest. Today's sky is so beautiful, or maybe it's because of after tiring work. So realizing that life is meaningful, Hae-jin suddenly realized that she had lost her employee card. Earlier she accidentally dropped under a pile of manure without knowing. Sung Jun said he would make another one, but to Hae-jin, the first employee card she made at the magazine was very meaningful. She ran into the barn to try to find it again, but couldn't find it. But unexpectedly, Sung Jun held the card in front of her face, looking at her with worry. He couldn't stand it. It was more than his fear of feces. Maybe that's why he volunteered to find her. From the owner's words, Hae-jin just realized that the angry boss she hated sacrificed so much for her. So on the way home, she opened up and told him the reason she treasured this card, because it was the first card to write her name as an official employee of a large company. To him, it was nothing, but to her, it was an achievement. He also told her that the thing that had special meaning to him was the collage she accidentally broke. To others, it was a puzzle with the last piece missing, but to him, it was a memory more precious than gold. This made Hae-jin very touched, but later he raised his hand to demand compensation, making her extremely surprised. This mission will last 2 days and 1 night to choose a location for the solo travel theme. At the company Shinhya called Jun-woo to find out that he and Han Seo were lost. So Hae-jin and Sung Jun were living together. He didn't dare to imagine the scene of the two of them being intimate. Hari called both Sung Jun and Hae-jin and found out about this. Suddenly she felt jealous and worried. At this moment, Hae-jin and Sung Jun are discussing how to choose a direction and how they feel about traveling alone. Unexpectedly, she could tell exactly what he was feeling when he was traveling alone, which was loneliness and wanting to write a letter to an important person. This made Sung Jun open up about the time he was alone in America. Even though he was bullied, he still lived resiliently because he had a letter of support from his friend in Korea. But then one day he didn't receive her letter anymore. He was heartbroken for a long time. Hae-jin heard that and remained silent. It's hard to say she didn't talk about this anymore, but ran to play with the beach. Sung Jun obviously wanted to take pictures of her, but when he was discovered, he shyly turned away. Then he secretly watched her from afar when the two of them sitting together to eat. Sung Jun didn't know when he gradually opened up to this girl he despised. She knew the wooden puzzle and the melody that only he and his first love knew. The two of them continued to talk very well. It was like two soulmates had just recognized each other after a long time apart. It wasn't until late at night that the staff had to gently remind them that the store was closed, so the two of them can be withdrawn from their own space. After this decade-long story, Sung Jun respected Hae-jin more. He also could not imagine that he could freely tell her the pain of the past, the story that he had never told Hari, who he still mistakenly thought was his first love. Hae-jin was happy to realize that her friendly fat friend had not disappeared. Now he was just trying to cope with having to be independent. Thinking about this suddenly, Hae-jin wanted to tell Sung Jun her true identity. She wanted to share loneliness with him, not hesitate to keep him company, to let him know he was not alone in this world. But when she was about to say, then Shin-hyuk appeared. He was afraid that something would happen to the two of them alone that would cause him to lose Hae-jin. So he brought his backpack to act as a light bulb to interrupt them to make sure. Sung Jun hated Shin-hyuk, so he left immediately. But when he heard Shin-hyuk invited Hae-jin to go drinking, he didn't come back. He insisted on going with them at the drinking table. Shin-hyuk kept talking about underwear. Shin-hyuk left in such a hurry today that he forgot to bring underwear, so he continued to borrow Sung Jun's, making Sung Jun extremely helpless, and Hae-jin couldn't help but laugh. But for some reason, Shin-hyuk always intentionally tried to be intimate with Hae-jin to make Sung Jun angry. Even though was angry, Sung Jun had to pretend to be calm and unable to do anything when Shin-hyuk dropped a fake spider into Hae-jin's hand, making her scream. Sung Jun couldn't stand it. Sung Jun hit Shin-hyuk on the head, causing him to be dizzy. But because drank beer, Sung Jun woke up a little and then fainted, causing Shin-hyuk and Hae-jin to carry him back to the room again while she watching Sung Jun. Shin-hyuk came in. He discovered that Sung Jun had secretly taken a photo of Hae-jin, so he was upset and had to go jogging to relieve his mood. At the end of the business trip, he returned to the company. Sung Jun was more sociable with everyone and even said good morning to colleagues. This makes everyone feel unfamiliar. On the contrary, Shin-hyuk hates this very much. That night when they went out to eat, Hae-jin told him that she intended to reveal her identity to Sung Jun, which made him a little nervous and sad. Then let him tell her the picture of his lost puppy. He saw it as a sister. Now he also sees Hae-jin as that, but not a sister, but a puppy. Shin-hyuk also expressed, always told her that he liked her. He liked her honest, clumsy, but kind person. This made Hae-jin confused and thought he was joking. The louder he shouted, shouted, "I like you," the more she wanted to run away. At the same time, Sung Jun was also walking with Hari. She asked him sadly if she weren't his best friend when he was a child, would he continue to go with her like this? This made Sung Jun stunned. If he weren't a close friend, he wouldn't be close to Hari. Before waiting for him to answer, she turned around and kissed him on the lips to express her feelings. This scene accidentally seen by Shin-hyuk. At this moment, he knew that the person Hari did not dare to love was Sung Jun. He did not let Hye-jin look over, but hugged her tightly. If Hari had the courage to find love, he would also trying to hold on to this feeling. As for Sung Jun, he did not immediately answer her confession, but led her to the place where they used to draw pictures of themselves on it in the past. Hari clearly expressed sadness. She did not want to. Sung Jun mentioned that beautiful past again because in that past there was no her. That first love was not her. Sung Jun did not say anything. He drew a picture of him in the present, Hari. He said he won't talk about the past anymore. Now it's just the present, okay? Hari happily drew a heart shape. She really wanted love with Sung Jun. She told herself she would only be with him for 2 months. Then she will tell Hye-jin everything. She loves Sung Jun, but the friendship she has for Hye-jin is more noble, so she cannot lose that friend. Hye-jin, after knowing that there is a guy who makes her best friend, was vibration. She wholeheartedly supported her best friend, which made Hari even more worried and tormented. When she was calling Sung Jun to go see a movie that night, she saw Hye-jin walk in. She quickly hung up the phone, afraid that Sung Jun would hear Hye-jin's voice. On the other hand, Shin-hyuk always wanted to tell Sung Jun that Hye-jin was his first love, and told Hye-jin that the two people she considered her close friends were lied to her. But he couldn't open his mouth to speak. He didn't want to lose Hye-jin, so when her shoe sole broke off, he carried her home. On the way, he asked her if she wanted to reveal her identity to Sung Jun to find her old friend again, or to continue with her first love. Even Hye-jin did not know this. While she was hesitating, this scene was seen by Sung Jun, who was on the way. He kept looking, so he crashed into the car in front of him at any time. What are his feelings now? Who do he love? Sung Jun really doesn't know. He has feelings for Hye-jin, but thinking that Hari is his first love protects him in life. Childhood years made him tormented. Last time he was late because of a car accident, so he couldn't watch a movie with her. This time he specially found a theater that still showed that last movie to make up for her, but also during the process, he couldn't be happy. On the contrary, when he stopped at the red light and heard Hye-jin say the light was green already, "Let's run," his heart suddenly became confused and ran to hold her back. The thought that she was his first love from the past always appeared in his mind. Today was also the day Hye-jin intended to reveal her true identity to Sung Jun, but he was pressured by headquarters in the US to save the most magazine's productivity. Thus, so he became more irritable than usual. The costume conservator accidentally put on jewelry and touched the design, causing him to scream madly because he was afraid that the jewelry would tear the skirt. He chased her away. He asked to be replaced. Other people looked after it. The person in charge assigned this job to Hye-jin. The manager also specifically told her that it was a particularly important design for the upcoming celebration, but at this time, her colleague Hye-jin asked her to help her take out the car keys. Hye-jin felt awkward but still left her dress there and walked away. Until the model wears a dress, there is a problem. Sung Jun is so angry that he fires Hye-jin. Hye-jin was in tears. She was going to get her best friend back today, but now she can't. It wasn't until Hye-jin left that another girl burst into tears and admitted that because she couldn't help but want to try on a new dress that made it torn. Not Hye-jin's fault. Sung Jun sighed and didn't want to shout anymore. Everything from love to work made him so tired. Even when Hari called him, he didn't bother to pick up the phone. In fact, before that, Shin-hyuk went to tell Hari that Hye-jin would tell the truth to Sung Jun. By then, she would lose both her friend and her lover. So now it was best for her to admit everything to Sung Jun first. So tonight, Hari called Sung Jun continuously like that. She intended to tell him herself but couldn't contact him. Hari called Hye-jin. Hye-jin sadly said her first love shouted, her got in her face, and told her to go away. He didn't want to see her anymore. So Hari told Hye-jin that she was there and she would come running right away. When Hye-jin arrived, Hari could only burst into tears, hug her best friend apologetically, knowing that Hye-jin was fired. Shin-hyuk came to her house and invited her to work as his assistant for a day and go with him to take landscape photos to use as writing material. She was about to refuse, but he immediately tied up the fact that she had promised to fulfill his 3 requests, plus a generous salary. So Hye-jin, go immediately. The whole day said she was going to work, but she had fun being with Shin-hyuk. Hye-jin had no pressure and not being scolded, but she couldn't love him. When going to work, Shin-hyuk showed Sung Jun Hye-jin's design ideas. Only her simple but creative thinking can satisfy him, but he chased her away. He was originally a rational person, but why did he lose his temper when facing Hye-jin like that? Shin-hyuk asked if he liked her. Sung Jun couldn't couldn't say anything for a while, then asked Sung-jun back to Shin-hyuk, "What about you?" Shin-hyuk, without hesitation, said that I like Hae-jin. Then Shin-hyuk told Sung-jun to go apologize and invite Hae-jin back to the company to work. At night, Sung-jun brought Hae-jin's idea and waited for her at the bus stop, but he didn't dare let her see. He secretly followed her home, intending to call her, but just a small sound scared him. Hid in a corner, but hid for too long and his legs hurt, so he carelessly fell down the slide. He stopped right in front of Hae-jin, so he had to sit and talk seriously with her. He praised her new and open idea and asked her to return to the company, but she immediately refused. She allowed him to use her ideas, but she could not return to work because that environment did not belong to her. Moreover, working with him made her very uncomfortable. But the real reason behind why Hae-jin boldly refused the job was because her former department head introduced her to another job. But the next morning, no one called to tell her to go to work, so Hae-jin called the department head to ask. Then she learned that her position had been cancelled. She just wanted to cry. Yesterday she had just rejected Sung-jun. Now she was kicked out of the position she applied for. The house ran out of rice. Her father's printing factory also had problems, so she couldn't go back to her parents' house. While Hae-jin was sad, the communications manager said that the third party had changed their mind about accepting her working. At the same time, Sung-jun also sent a photo of the onion crying, calling for Hae-jin to take care of it, making her laugh. She seemed to have made a decision for herself. After a while, the Most magazine did not have. Hae-jin did chores that made everything busy and confusing, thinking that no one would answer the phone, but a familiar voice rang out. "Hello, I'm Hae-jin," but she came back with a completely different interface, more beautiful and attractive, making everyone surprised to have a perfect appearance like hers. Now, Hae-jin had to spend a large amount of money to restore her hair. She also buys clothes and beauty learns how to make up. Colleagues saw Hae-jin again and happily hugged her. Now that she's back, Hae-jin's new look, even the editor-in-chief had to compliment her. Except for Shin-hyuk, feel like the old Hae-jin was the most beautiful. Sitting down to talk together, he realized that the reason she returned to the company was to work hard to make money. She wanted to collect money to buy her father's printing factory a new printer, also to make her life better. Moreover, she completely did not mention revealing her identity to Sung-jun. During the idea meeting, she boldly stated her thoughts. Instead of having famous models put on gorgeous, extravagant outfits, turn the spotlight on ordinary people who silently dedicate, such as employees and logistics departments, because they are also the main characters who also deserve to shine. After hearing this idea, everyone responded very enthusiastic, and that's what Sung-jun wanted. Finally, after many meetings, he finalized Hae-jin's idea. Ordinary people all deserve to become the bright main characters of their lives. At the end of the meeting, Sung-jun returned the notebook and old employee card to Hae-jin. He hoped she would stick with him and the company for a long time. Return to Hari because have to hide her feelings and the truth about herself. Her body caused her to have severe stomach pain. She fainted in the convenience store, but luckily Shin-hyuk took her to the hospital. The doctor diagnosed that the cause of the illness was because she couldn't eat well and sleep well due to pressure. Hearing this, Shin-hyuk also understood the problem. He patiently waited for Hari to wake up to confide in her. Hari burst into tears and said that Sung-jun was also her first love because he was the first person to make her heart flutter and he really cared about her, not because of her appearance. Shin-hyuk told Hari to calm down. That's because Sung-jun thinks Hari is his first love, that Hae-jin is her best friend, and Sung-jun is her first love. How could Hari interrupt them? But everyone pursues happiness, especially for a girl who lacks sincere feelings like Hari. She returned home to sleep to forget everything. When she woke up, she saw Hae-jin cooking for her. Thinking in the past, when her stepmother saw her sick, this mother just threw back a check and left. No one truly cared for her like Hae-jin, but she lied to Hae-jin. Hari could only hug Hae-jin. She silently begged himself to let her feel happiness with Sung-jun for just 2 months. During this time, Shin-hyuk also enthusiastically pursued Hae-jin, found that the bag containing her employee card was too good, but it was given by Sung-jun as a welcome gift to welcome her back to work. So that night, he also brought a huge gift box and drove after Hae-jin. He also said loudly that this is his welcome gift, making her shyly blush. He compared the packaging of her employee card with his bag. It was bigger and considered sincere feelings. Hae-jin understood, but she didn't want to accept, so Shin-hyuk immediately turned to give it to the dog passing by, making her shy and had to get it. The The Most magazine's first big event has finally arrived. That day, many famous actors and models attended, but Sung Joon had not yet arrived. When Hae-jin led the way for the host, she realized that it was raining heavily outside, so he was late. Listen to this, she extremely worried about Sung Joon. The ceremony began. The MC showed busy pictures of the magazine staff to thank them for their efforts in today's ceremony. But the end of this opening will come, Sung Joon's English speech, but he still hadn't arrived. When everyone was worried, the editor and Ma chief appeared. She stirred up the stage with her unique voice and brought her own style to the show program. The purpose was to buy more time for Sung Joon. She didn't know English, so she told the staff to run English subtitles. The editor-in-chief's speech was very encouraging. She was just like Sung Joon, appreciating the efforts of the staff under her command. Meanwhile, Sung Joon somehow overcame his fear of rain and ran to the place in time. Seeing that the editor-in-chief's speech received a lot of audience's enthusiastic response also made him less worried. The editor-in-chief finished her excellent speech. She went out to meet Sung Joon. He repeatedly apologized without being able to defend himself any further. Seeing him like that, so she didn't ask anything more and left. Only Hae-jin understood Sung Joon's suffering, but she didn't know what position she should use to comfort him. She could only stay silent and sit there with him. Hae-jin is usually gentle, but now faced with Sung Joon's bad words from her colleagues, she angrily stood up and scolded them. Sung Joon appeared. He heard everything, but did not want Hae-jin to cause trouble with everyone, so he told her to go to a corner and laughed and thanked her for being on his side. At the magazine, reporter Cha wants to give Hae-jin the opportunity to write an article about the fairy tale topic she has been thinking about, so that she can upgrade herself and have a stronger foothold in the company. But Hae-jin was self-depreciation with her abilities, so she refuses. When Sung Joon found out about it that night, he followed Hae-jin to the bus stop. He showed her a photo of the god of opportunity. He encouraged her that the opportunity had come, but she didn't take it will disappear. Then it will be too late to regret. In life, you have to challenge yourself to see how talented you will be. Hearing these words of encouragement from him, the next morning, Hae-jin proactively opened her mouth to words. Reporter Cha. Hae-jin asked reporter Cha to give her another chance to write a newspaper. She was determined to test her talent. Meanwhile, Hari and Shin Hyuk's relationship was also getting better and better. Her condition was getting worse, so she asked him to go for a walk. Unexpectedly, it made her feel a strangely refreshing feeling, a feeling she had never had before. After this trip, Hari, having thought things through, she decided to return to the identity that did not belong to her and honestly told everything to Sung Joon, so she arranged to meet him that night. But in the meantime, Hae-jin encountered something, because it was her first time writing a newspaper, so she had to go out to collect 14 actual data. Reporter Cha lent her his car, but then the whole room discovered that Hae-jin had mistakenly taken another colleague's car key, and that car was broken, unable to run far. Shin Hyuk worriedly tried to call, but she didn't pay attention. Reporter Cha also called to tell the deputy editor the news. Sung Joon was waiting for Hari when he received the news that he was extremely worried. Combined with the latest online article about a car accident right where Hae-jin was going, he couldn't help but worry and leave the appointment to return. As soon as Hari arrived, she didn't understand what was going on. In her hand, she still held a letter of truth that she intended to give to him. Shin Hyuk drove his motorbike at the fastest speed. Sung Joon also stepped on the accelerator and rushed to the site of the accident. He's secretly thinking, pray that Hae-jin doesn't have any unexpected problems. In the middle of the pouring rain, Sung Joon would be very scared. But his mind is filled with the image of Hae-jin. She is like the driving force that gives him strength. He calmly arrived at the scene of the accident. Despite the rain, he ran down to ask the rescue team who the victim was. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind him calling his name. Sung Joon turned around and it was Hae-jin. Luckily, she was okay. He ran to hug her. His heart was still beating so fast he couldn't say a word. This scene was seen by Shin Hyuk, who arrived a step too late. He was very upset but couldn't do anything. It turns out just now, the car Hae-jin was driving was smoking and the engine wasn't working, so she had to get out of the car and walk to find help. She just met Sung Joon and was hugged by him, but the person who was more worried about the other person was Hae-jin. She kept asking Sung Joon if anything happened standing in the rain. This statement made him extremely surprised, because only his first love knows he is afraid of rain. Sung Joon stammered and said that he didn't know it was raining because he was only thinking about her safety. She was covered by an umbrella for him, while Shin Hyuk stood in the cold rain, his heart aching, and turned away. Hae-jin returned in Sung Joon's car. He carefully covering her with a blanket made her feel unfamiliar. But after the hug just now, Hae-jin was determined to tell Sung Joon the truth. So as soon as she arrived in front of the house, she took the car and following him all the way. She did not expect that when she arrived, she would witness the most heartbreaking scene. Her best friend used her identity to deceive her first love. He was deceived by 2 women. This shock for Hae-jin was not small. She kept walking aimlessly on the road and crossing the crowded cars. The horn sounded continuously, but she couldn't recognize it. Hae-jin just sat on the bus going to the last stop without realizing it. When the driver said she had just gotten off the bus, she called to ask Shin-hyuk, "Where is here? What is the meaning of this life?" Just those 2 questions made Shin-hyuk immediately run to Hae-jin's side. He sat and listened to her confide all her heart. Then he took her home to her destination house. But unfortunately for Hae-jin, he was just a friend, or at most a brother, going into the house and facing her friend who cheated on her. Hae-jin was still very calm. She told herself that Hari must be suffering, so she would wait until her friend admitted everything to her. Unexpectedly, Hae-jin still kept the original copy of a puzzle piece. It turned out that the copy that Hari gave Sungjun last time was just a copy from yesterday's hug, that now every time sees Sungjun. Hae-jin can't calm down. She asks Shin-hyuk to pretend to talk to her, to stay away from Sungjun, then waits for her colleagues to enter the meeting room before entering because she was afraid of being alone with him. But during the meeting, Sungjun kept staring at Hae-jin, making her very awkward. Normally, after submitting the meeting minutes, Hae-jin would be immediately kicked out by Sungjun, but today he forced her to sit back and wait for him to finish reading the minutes. He even came closer and pulled her chair up higher to help her, but this was a bit too high. Every time she looked at Sungjun-jin's face, she remembered the hug scene again, made her afraid to ignore her work and run away urgently. But the more she avoided, the more chances of meeting her. The editor-in-chief gave Hae-jin the task of delivering the suit straight to the house of Sungjun. The editor-in-chief wanted him to wear it so he could attend guests with her next week. Hae-jin didn't want to do it, but she didn't dare to go against the editor-in-chief's wishes. She went to the hotel and asked the receptionist to give it to Sungjun, but he appeared right behind her. She was scared, but he still didn't let go. He insisted on inviting Hae-jin into the room to drink tea, making her worried and scared. She took the cup of tea and drank it quickly to get home quickly, but the tea was too hot, so she couldn't drink it quickly. But she didn't expect Sungjun to admit at this time that he had special feelings for Hae-jin, because every time he was around her, he felt confused, and every time he was angry for no reason, then vented his anger on her. He was really sorry. This shocked Hae-jin and spilled tea all over himself. Sungjun gave her his shirt to change into. Before Hae-jin returned home, he thoughtfully rolled up his sleeves to help her and explained he had special feelings for her because he felt like she was like an acquaintance of his. But the feelings were vague. It was difficult to confirm whether they were love or not. These words made Hae-jin shed tears. She really wanted to tell him that she was that acquaintance, but then she didn't say anything. She didn't wait for him to get the car keys and left first. She was afraid that if she stayed too long, she would change her mind, and that would hurt her best friend. On the other hand, Shin-hyuk told Hari the whole truth. Hari returned home heavily to look at. Hae-jin was cowering in a corner. She told Hae-jin to wait for her just tomorrow. Everything will return to its rightful place. Hari thanked Hae-jin for understanding her. Hae-jin understood her best friend's words, but without saying anything. The next day, Hae-jin had an interview with a comic book author. Hae-jin and she talked very well together, so she gave Hae-jin a book to encourage Hae-jin to continue pursuing passion for creating. She wrote fairy tales like when she was a child. At the end of the interview, Hae-jin went to see the painting exhibition of Sungjun's favorite author. Unexpectedly, she met him here. At this time, the two talked quite comfortably. After Hae-jin finished taking a photo for a couple, they immediately offered to take a picture for her and Sungjun. She refused, but he gave them his phone directly. He wanted to take a photo with her alone. Go out and make an appointment with Sungjun tomorrow, because she knows that today, Hari will admit her true identity to him. Just like that. Just a few minutes later, Hari called Sungjun to meet tonight, which he also seemed to want told her about his true feelings for Hae-jin. When she returned to the company, from the words of her colleague, Hae-jin, just know that the day before Shin-hyuk had a car accident because he was busy running to look for her. But when she asked, he said the motorbike was broken, so he had to get it repaired, and his injury was just a careless fall. Hae-jin chased after Shin-hyuk, wanting to say thank you to him, but he used the 3 conditions she had promised to meet to hug her, as if that was also his last condition for her. He said he liked Hae-jin, so he didn't want to be friends with her, but he couldn't do anything more than that. Meanwhile, Sungjun went to the hotel to look for Hari, but he accidentally discovered her true identity. Opposite, with his questioning eyes, she didn't know how to answer. She had intended to tell the truth, but now it was too late. At this point, Hari couldn't make any more excuses. She admitted for the first time she met Sungjun because of Hae-jin's request, but the next time, it was because she couldn't control her emotions emotions towards him. She originally planned to tell everything today, but she didn't expect to let him know this way. Sung-joon did not answer whether he would forgive or not. He just asked Hari where his real Hae-jin was. Hari admitted that it was Hae-jin, the stupid girl. In his eyes was also her best friend. Hari didn't hold back her feelings, she just hoped for Sung-joon's forgiveness, but he left without looking back. Now his mind was filled with only the thought of going to see Hae-jin. So much so that he drove while driving crying. He blamed himself for not recognizing her sooner. Meanwhile, Shin-hyuk once again confessed his love to Hae-jin. While Hae-jin was in a difficult situation, Sung-joon called her, his voice trembling and calling her by a familiar name that made her stunned. She realized he already knew everything. When Sung-joon said where she was, he wanted to see her right now. But Shin-hyuk also asked Hae-jin not to leave, making her stand still between two extremely difficult choices. But she has been waiting for her childhood friend for so long, so she could only apologize to Shin-hyuk and run away, breaking Shin-hyuk's heart at the familiar red light in front of the company. Two people with two hearts that beat at the same time met each other. They met face to face countless times, but this time the feeling was really hard to describe. An indescribable joy and happiness that made them both laugh. Sung-joon blamed her for not telling him from the beginning. He missed her so much, and because of his feelings for her, he felt sorry for his friend. But then he apologized for realizing her too late. Hae-jin was so choked up that she couldn't say a word. She could only shed tears of happiness. When they recognized each other, the two were comfortable walking and confiding. Hae-jin said that at that time she felt too self-conscious. She was afraid that her appearance would disappoint him, so she foolishly deceived him. But now, in Sung-joon's eyes, there was no blame but only love for the first love he missed day and night. When Sung-joon mentioned Hari, Hae-jin understood that Hari had not told the truth to him, but because he realized it himself, perhaps Hari was very panicked. So Hae-jin quickly ran home with her friends. Facing Hae-jin, Hari tried to stay calm and told her to go out and meet her friends. Everything was ended. But a while later, Hae-jin accidentally saw the letter that Hari intended to give to Sung-joon. Hae-jin realized how pitiful her best friend was and how lacking in love this friend was. The first time Hari felt what true love was, but couldn't have it. She wanted to give up but couldn't bear it. Perhaps Hari was very hurt, so Hae-jin quickly ran out to find friends. Indeed, Hae-jin found her alone crying in a corner. The next day, the two girls met trying to act normal, but they knew they were both very awkward, and Sung-joon was in much better spirits this morning. He wanted to hold Hae-jin's hand and run across the street, but she refused. That's why he realizing that she was deliberately avoiding her feelings for him. That's right, Hae-jin didn't dare to love Sung-joon because of Hari, so now she can only deliberately see him as a friend, and he saw this, so he pulled her to the rooftop to ask for clarification. Hae-jin choked up and said words that unintentionally hurt Sung-joon's heart. Hae-jin really wanted to say because Hari liked him and Hari was also her friend, but she unable to utter a word. Sung-joon sadly left. A while later, Hae-jin also went downstairs. She met Shin-hyuk and saw his pale face. She quickly gave him the hospital bill money, also because of her new brother injured, but Shin-hyuk just smiled faintly and left. This scene was seen by Uncle Kim, so he immediately asked Hae-jin if she has feelings for Shin-hyuk. This question was accidentally heard by Sung-joon, causing him to misunderstand. During this time, the couple Han-seo and Jun-woo developed a love relationship. Han-seo learned that Jun-woo was not a tycoon, but just a normal laundromat. She just wanted to go crazy, so all her efforts were considered in vain, and it was also a fake. That night when returned home, Hae-jin saw Hari. In order to make herself forget everything, she chose the old way of hanging out with bad boyfriend. She was very heartbroken and dragged her best friend into the house. Hae-jin blamed Hari for destroying herself. Hadn't she already changed before? But both of them clearly understood that the change was influenced by Sung-joon. Hari felt sorry for herself and said she couldn't face reality. She couldn't even look at Hae-jin's face because the feeling of guilt was always tormenting her. Now that the two of them couldn't be friends anymore, she would choose to leave for far away. But Hae-jin said that the person staying there was her, so she would leave. After saying that, Hae-jin packed her things and went to her parents' house. But as soon as the whole family met, she asked where Hari was. It could be seen that their family was very close to Hari. This made Hae-jin even more sad. But what she did not expect was that at this time, Sung-joon called her younger sister, and the younger sister sent him the address to come visit her house. Because when the two of them were close friends, so now Hae-jin's parents are not strangers to Sung-joon. They just feel that he is much more handsome, and she is awkward and doesn't know what to do, aying her like that. Sung-joon wants to joke even more. He told Hae-jin's parents that he and her had a growing relationship, which made her grandfather very happy. He whispered to his wife to take out the bottle of wine he brewed last year to invite his future son-in-law. Couldn't couldn't go against his father-in-law's word, so Sung-joon had to drink a drink. But 3 seconds later, he collapsed on the table, forcing her to let him sleep at her house. Mr. and Mrs. Kim sat and looked at their future son-in-law. They complimented his face, very well sharp, very suitable for their daughter. Hee-jin saw that and chased her parents back to the room. But when they left, she suddenly sat and looked at Sung-joon's handsome face. At this moment, he suddenly woke up. The two of them awkwardly didn't know what to say. Outside, he asked her the real reason why she treated him like that. His feelings for her were not because she was her first love, because before he didn't know she was the real Hee-jin, but was still moved by her. Hee-jin said heavily that Hari liked him very much. Hari is like a family member to her, so she can't hurt this friend. She won't feel comfortable either. Sung-joon heard that and directly faced Hee-jin. He affirmed that he was just likes only her. Whether it was before or now, she gives him up to Hari. He can't love Hari. If Hee-jin doesn't accept him now, he will be ready to wait for her. He just asks her one thing is not to avoid him. This heart touched Hee-jin. She agreed, and while Hari was wandering on the street, she met her biological mother. That year, her mother left her with her father. Now her biological mother wants her to come live with her. The mother has realized her mistake in letting her daughter live in loneliness, making Hari feel self-pity herself and not care about her mother. The mother comes to find Hee-jin's mother chatting and confiding. Mrs. Choi has long been separated from her family and has her own career. Now, she just wants to take her daughter to live with her to make up for the love she has lacked for so long. But Hari kept ignoring her and forcing her to send a message. She was going abroad in a few days. She hoped Hari could meet her once or go with her. Hari read the message and hesitated for a moment, but then Hari, still deciding to call her mother. Hari said she wanted to eat the crab meat porridge her mother made. On the other hand, thanks to the previous event, the Most magazine rose to second place. But compared to the competition, the first place is very difficult to take over. And yet Shin Hyuk was heartbroken and even thought about agreeing to work for a rival company, shocking all his colleagues. That night, Sung-joon personally went to find Shin Hyuk to beg him to stay with the company. Sung-joon even revealed information that if the magazine does not win the top 1 position in the upcoming 20th anniversary, it will be disbanded. But Shin Hyuk didn't answer right away. The next day, Shin Hyuk didn't show up for work. Hee-jin worriedly called the hotel where he was staying, but the receptionist asked the opposite. Does she know where Hari went? Because Hari quit her job at the hotel and cut off contact with everyone. Hearing that Hee-jin rushed back home but couldn't find Hari, she ran to the airport again. Thinking having missed her best friend, Hee-jin sat down and burst into tears. She just sat at the airport when Hari passed by. Hee-jin breathed a sigh of relief and hugged her friend. Hari explained that she only went to the airport to see off her mother abroad, and she will still stay here to make up for the mistakes she made. With Hee-jin, just a hug and a sentence like that is enough to make the friendship between Hari and Hee-jin reunite as before. But Hee-jin did not care about the past and forgave her friend everything. On the other hand, Sung-joon came home after a tiring day of work and almost had a heart attack because Shin Hyuk was naked. He just rolling a piece of towel appeared in front of Sung-joon. Shin Hyuk considered this his home and even complimented Sung-joon's bathroom very well. He would come here to bathe often, making Sung-joon extremely angry but can't die anything. Actually, Shin Hyuk came here to discuss with Sung-joon the ideas he just came up with to be able to make the Most magazine achieve first-class sales in the upcoming celebration. Although Shin Hyuk looked a bit stupid, his artistic talent was like a genius, but in Sung-joon's eyes, it was still not special enough. Sung-joon criticized him in many places, so Shin Hyuk decided to go back to work. He also happily accepted to be friends with Hee-jin. When the colleagues saw Shin Hyuk's return, they enthusiastically welcomed him. Sung-joon still kept a cold face and walked out to assign tasks to everyone, but because he had been under pressure for several days, so his nose was bleeding, so he was grabbed by 2 colleagues and held his head up and down to stop the bleeding, losing all of his cool boss image. Sung-joon didn't know how to get out of their arms. Hee-jin was so worried about him that she typed on the keyboard with an alien sound that she didn't even know. At lunchtime, the colleagues made noise and picked out everyone, giving Sung-joon a headache. Hee-jin was very worried for him, so she had to grab the paper and give them her card to chase them out to eat. She even blocked the screenwriter's mouth like a megaphone to protect Sung-joon's sleep. Protect Sung-joon one day. Hee-jin was finally able to go home after work. Her younger sister came here to play with Hari. Her younger sister didn't know what happened, so she naturally told about Sung-joon coming to the house to flirt with her older sister. Hee-jin was afraid that Hari would be sad, so she covered her younger sister's mouth. That night, Hari affirmed to Hee-jin that she no longer cared about anything. She only wanted Hee-jin to be happy. Hari encourages Hee-jin to embrace her happiness and come to Sung-joon. He waited in front of her door for an hour. He hesitated whether to knock on the door or not. He was afraid that meeting Hae-jin would feel awkward, but if he didn't see her, he missed her very much, so in the end he chose to leave. At this moment, Hae-jin opened the window, but it was a second away, so she couldn't see him. The next day, Hae-jin brought the shoes that Hari gave her to the company. She decided not to hide anymore, but Sung-joon was extremely busy that whole day. Hae-jin just needed to listen to what her colleagues said. Wherever he was, she immediately ran towards that place, but she was still a step slow. She heard that he was picking up his partner at the airport, so she also ran to the airport, but for a moment, she still missed him. Inside, Hae-jin still waiting for Sung-joon, not knowing that he had collapsed in front of the airport. It was not until late at night that Hae-jin returned to the company from her colleagues' words. She learned that Sung-joon had worked too hard, so he had fainted and was now taken to the hospital. She rushed out, but couldn't catch a taxi. Luckily, Shin-hyuk drove to take her away. Only Hae-jin walked in. Shin-hyuk had really let her go. He couldn't imprison a heart that didn't belong to him. Hae-jin stood in front of Sung-joon's hospital bed, heartbroken, stroking his face. Then suddenly, he pulled her down to lie next to her. Now she didn't hide anymore and hugged him tightly. He and she admitted their long-standing feelings. Sung-joon happily placed a kiss on Hae-jin's lips, marking the beginning of their love relationship. People have love in a completely different way. Sung-joon is usually frowning, but today when he went to work and had bird droppings fall on his shirt, he was still able to smile. Came to the company because he was engrossed in looking at the documents and slammed his head into the elevator door, but he could still smile. Coming to the office, he also enthusiastically greeted his subordinates in the morning, which scared everyone. They speculated that he had a girlfriend, that's why he loved life so much. That made Hae-jin worried. When she entered the room to give Sung-joon the documents, she reminded him not to let people know about their relationship, otherwise she would be very shy, so that making Sung-joon angry. But the person who showed it was Hae-jin. All day long, she was smiling and dancing and singing, making all her colleagues realize that she was in love. In the evening, Sung-joon took Hae-jin home. He held her hand and couldn't bear to let go. This scene was seen by her younger sister, and the girls shouted to her parents, making both of them blush. So Sung-joon was invited into Hae-jin's house to eat, and everyone was close enough to take a family photo together. When Sung-joon returned to continue working and accidentally ran into Hari, who had just arrived, the two still had a lot to say, so they decided to talk to resolve it. Sung-joon accepted to forgive Hari, and she also let him go, returned to Hari and told Hae-jin about this. Sung-joon accepted to be her friend, so everything could return to its rightful place. In the evening, they both called together. Hae-jin just accidentally blurted out that the fish cakes were delicious. Unexpectedly, 5 minutes later, he was at the door giving her food. Hae-jin did not eat alone. She went into the car to eat with Sung-joon. After eating, the two of them talked again, happy. Just like that, they fell asleep without realizing it. It would be good if everything went smoothly. But today, people from the magazine came to find Sung-joon. They urged him to increase work capacity even more. If this magazine does not dissolve, he will also be labeled a failure. All the pressure will be on Sung-joon's shoulders. But he didn't want to tell other colleagues because he was afraid they would feel the same pressure as him and leave. But Jun-woo had heard this information somewhere, so he told colleagues. Reporter Cha Sha ran into the room to question Sung-joon. At this point, he couldn't continue to hide it. He thought it was best to hide it so as not to put pressure on everyone. But he didn't know that they had devoted their entire youth to the magazine. If they knew it would collapse soon, they would risk their lives for once. They should have known in advance. Sung-joon always wanted to act alone and not rely on the staff. Reporter Cha was very angry. Everyone turned their backs on him. Only Hae-jin stayed. She wholeheartedly cheered for the person she loved. Sung-joon also realized his mistake. He was indeed arbitrary and selfish. But after knowing the truth, the colleagues became even more united. They wanted to try to turn the game around once and use all their abilities to try their best to save the Most magazine, their brainchild. Good luck also came to them. Their magazine contacted the famous star to advertise on his personal page, thanks to which the views were very high, which will definitely attract for the 20th anniversary coming soon. Sung-joon promised Hae-jin that if he could successfully revive the Most, then he would officially propose to her. Hae-jin promised to wait for Sung-joon. She was sure he would succeed. Every luck comes with risks. Thought everything would go smoothly, but when Sung-joon returned, he discovered that the famous star had changed mind. This famous star canceled his interview with their magazine because he got into a marijuana smoking scandal. Everyone was depressed when they heard the news. Now they need to find another celebrity who can attract the audience. Uncle Kim suggested finding out his identity and inviting a mysterious writer named Kang, whose books are selling well domestically and internationally. But the problem now is that no one knows who the author Kang is. Sung-joon went to find the publisher of Kang's book, but Unexpectedly, he did not know that person's identity because he only received the manuscript via email and published it. Sung Jun could only ask the publisher to send his email to wait for Kang's response. While waiting, the Most magazine also ready to prepare for the worst-case scenario. If they cannot invite anyone attractive enough to take on the interview, they will use the best articles to conquer the audience. Everyone worked overtime until late at night. Sung Jun proactively ordered food to bring them together. This is when all the most employees work at full capacity and are also the happiest. Hee-jin has made great progress. Her first article was highly appreciated by reporter Cha. Everyone is trying very hard. They have done everything they can, so now all they can do is package the newspaper and send it to print and publish, and waiting for the miracle to happen. After trying their best, everyone decided to leave the rest to fate and reward themselves with an evening of fun to relieve all the fatigue of the past few days. That night, everyone did not go home but stayed at the company. They confided together about the first days they came to the most, the years of youth, dedicating themselves, talking forever, and then going out to sing and have fun, because in case the magazine disbands in the future, they won't be able to see each other anymore. Sung Jun didn't go with everyone. His mood was difficult to say. He sat quietly in the office, looking at everything. Hee-jin came to sit with him, they having done his best. Sung Jun is tired and just wants a good night's sleep on his lover's lap. Very quickly, the Most's 20th anniversary has arrived. In today's ceremony, there was also a part of ceremony to announce the second-generation director of the magazine chain, who at first Han Seo thought was Jun-woo, but it wasn't. His appearance made everyone surprised and unable to believe it. That was Uncle Kim, an ordinary uncle, but he was a descendant of a tycoon. On the other hand, at the last moment, Sung Jun received Kang's reply email. He came to the meeting place to show his sincerity in wanting to cooperate. Did not expect that this person would be Shin Hyuk. Sung Jun could not expect that the famous writer, who had been anonymous for so long, would be the one fighting for his underwear. Shin Hyuk originally intended not to show up, but the efforts of Sung Jun and the Boomer, the Most staff, moved him to change his mind. He allowed Sung Jun to publish an exclusive article about his identity in the magazine, but Sung Jun clearly understood that Shin Hyuk had hidden his identity for so long for his own reasons, or the pain is hard to say now, because to save a magazine that is about to be dissolved, but despite his life, will definitely be very disadvantaged. So after a while of careful consideration, Sung Jun decided not to publish Shin Hyuk's interview in the newspaper. But when the first magazines of the Most were published with pictures of Shin Hyuk and exclusive interview information, Sung Jun was extremely confused. He contacted the relevant parties only to find out that Shin Hyuk personally asked them to do so. The colleagues were just shocked by Uncle Kim. Now reading the newspaper, they were shocked by Shin Hyuk. They had to exclaim that life is full of unexpected events. Sung Jun tried to contact Shin Hyuk, but it didn't work. The hotel also informed him that he had checked out and left. He did these things just to leave, but before leaving, he used it as a gift for Hye-jin. If Sung Jun is no longer in trouble, then Hye-jin will not be sad. If she is happy, then Shin Hyuk will be happy. He plans to return to America to live with his adoptive parents. Before leaving, he did not go directly to the newsroom, but made a video call to say goodbye to everyone. Shin Hyuk still clearly remembers the characteristics of each colleague. He remembers each person's habits, hobbies, strengths, and weaknesses. Finally, he thanks everyone for the days of working together and said goodbye, thanks to Shin Hyuk's appearance and the efforts of Afoth. The Most members, their magazine returned to first place. Uncle Kim gave everyone a golden card to treat them to a delicious meal. But when it all ended, it was also time for Hye-jin to return to the aid management room, and Sung Jun was called back to headquarters. That night, the two of them went for a walk together. He had promised that if he succeeded in reviving the Most, he would propose to her, but now he thinks he needs to settle down at the headquarters first, so he will return there to complete all the work that needs to be done. Then he will come back with the most perfect appearance to propose to her. Hye-jin believes in her lover's abilities. She promises to wait for him no matter how long it takes. But Sung Jun wants to take Hye-jin to America to accompany him. At that time, the writer of children's stories, who Hye-jin interviewed the day before, recognized her talent. So this author wanted to invite Hye-jin to join her story writing team. It was Hye-jin's childhood dream that made her very excited. Sung Jun realized that, so he advised his girlfriend to continue pursuing her dream without accompanying him. This made Hye-jin very hesitant. In the end, she decided to stay and try her passion for writing stories. Sung Jun is so talented that she has to do something to be worthy of him. Sung Jun understands his girlfriend's feelings. He gives her the ring to propose first, waits a year later when he comes back to officially propose. Having the support of Hye-jin's boyfriend doubled her confidence, and her friend Hari also supported this decision. Temporarily, Hye-jin will have to be away away from Hari for a year, stayed with writer Kim's story writing team to complete the work. The night before Hae-jin left, they both played happily together. Then, they sat down and talked about old memories. They thanked God for allowing them to be close friends each other. The next day, Hae-jin took Sung-joon to her workplace, so that a year later, he would return and find her in the right place. Today is the day he left. He hoped Hae-jin will write to him often, that way he wouldn't be afraid of losing her anymore. She agreed. The time of permeation passes. Just a few months have passed. Hae-jin had returned to her original appearance. She was innocent and happy to be herself. Everyone loves this girl who smiles and is optimistic and loves life. Hae-jin has tried her best to write stories with her seniors. Although she is young, she has her own very different style and way of thinking. Currently, she is living extremely happily with the path she has chosen. That talent is recognized by real writers. Every time Hae-jin is praised, she calls to show him off. Although they are in love far away, the hearts of the two are not apart. They had to video call each other and eat together. But suddenly one day she couldn't contact her lover. When she made a video call or a phone call, it always said it was busy, and when she texted, there was no response, which made Hae-jin extremely worried. She was afraid that Sung-joon would work too hard and get seriously ill. That would make her moody and unhappy all day. She unable to concentrate on anything anymore. She kept looking at her phone, waiting for a response. So much so that she imagined him with a high fever on the floor and his phone running out of battery without anyone knowing. But the most unexpected thing happened at this time. In the summer rain, Sung-joon appeared in front of Hae-jin carrying an umbrella, making her so excited that she ignored the rain and ran to him. He worriedly ran over to cover her with the umbrella. The two people hugged each other tightly to end the days of long-distance love. This time, returning, Sung-joon has become the new editor-in-chief of The Most, and the old editor-in-chief is about to get married. Han-seo and Jun-woo are now a couple, truly in love. Han-seo realized that love is more important than money. Jun-woo treated her very well, so she gave up thinking about becoming a rich woman and stayed with him. They also plan to get married this year. Other than that, Hari has gone to college to open her own hotel. She is also pursued by a younger boy. The boy's pure feelings bother Hari, but it is also something that what she wanted in love. As for Shin Hyuk-vae, has been continuing his path of writing stories about his experiences traveling everywhere. He still keeps the wool hat that Hae-jin gave him. He sees it as a beautiful memory hidden in his heart. As for Hae-jin, she was able to collect enough salary to give to her father so that he could buy a new printer, making her parents move to tears. They realized that their stupid eldest daughter had really grown up. Her parents gave Hae-jin back their 15 savings to let her get married, which made her cry. Family love is always the noblest and most sacred feeling. After a long journey of hard work, the author's team was published version, including Hae-jin's efforts and dreams. It is something she cherishes more than ever. Her happiness is doubled because now is the ripe opportunity for Sung-joon to propose to Hae-jin. The headband and the wedding flower was personally woven by Hari for her best friend. She conveyed her wishes to wish her friend a happy life. On the big day of the bride's life, Hae-jin brought her love to the groom, Sung-joon, into the wedding ceremony. They are the most beautiful couple today. If life were a movie, some would be the supporting characters and others the main characters. But in reality, that is not the case, because each person is the main character of the story. Our lives, everything that happens to us, or every person we meet, brings valuable lessons. So let's cherish the present and the friends and relatives by our side. The movie that came here is also over. Goodbye, and see you again in the next videos.